I'm Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today we're going to talk about the automatic audits coming from United Healthcare for level 4 and 5 E&M codes. Before we jump into that, I just want to let you know that the first part of my Credentialing and Contracting course is now available. I'm super excited to let you know about this. If you are interested in it, please go to www.integralclinicsolutions.com. That's my homepage. We'll pull up right away. Go to the bottom and there is a button for the link to go to the site where my course is hosted. Or you can go to the description in this video and copy and paste the link and get it that way. The second part of the course will be released within the next week or two, and then after that will be the third one after a few weeks from that one. All right, so these automatic UHC audits. Not sure if you have been noticing it in your office or not, but you should be seeing that level 4 and level 5 E&M codes and possibly other CPT codes with United Healthcare are getting audited, and you're getting denials on your EOBs, ERAs from United Healthcare saying that it's needing medical records in order to process the claim. If you're not aware that United Healthcare actually does not send these letters requiring the medical records anymore. They're not sending anything to anybody directly via mail or email. You actually have to go into their portal to retrieve the information. So when you see these denials, you want to make sure that you are going into that portal and you're obtaining the information that you need from there. Stick around on this video because we are going to be talking about how I feel would be the best workflow in working these claims before submitting those medical records. But first, I just want to bring to your attention that they are denying them. It sounds like it's all specialties and it's anyone who's billing the E&M 4 and 5s for sure, but also possibly other CPT codes depending on your specialty, maybe some physical therapy, occupational therapy, along those lines, or whatever specialty you have. They could have pulled out some specific CPT codes that they're also auditing. So again, if you're seeing these denials coming over from United Healthcare, you need to be logging into their portal and you need to be obtaining the information that they're sending to you via the portal for these claims. You should be seeing a letter for each claim that's sent explaining what they're needing and why they're needing it. You'll be using that letter to submit the medical records and any other kind of supporting documentation with that letter to identify that's why you're sending them. So that's why you need to make sure that you're going on and retrieving those letters. There are two different ways that you can be supporting what level of E&M charge that you are sending on claims. One is a time-based, and that's pretty straightforward, right? You need to be documenting how much time the provider has face-to-face time with the actual patient. Not how much time that the patient's been in the office, not how much time they've been interacting with all the other staff members, but it's only the face-to-face time with the actual provider whose name is going out on the claim. It should be clearly documented somewhere on your chart note how much time was spent, and then all of the supporting documentation above of what was reviewed during that time. There's also another way to support your level, and that's by your evaluation and management when it comes to doing the health history, the evaluations, the discussions, the therapies, whatever it is, and supporting it in there. And there are specific guidelines for this. So if you are not a biller coder who is trained in this, I encourage you to be looking this up and look at the guidelines to ensure that everybody is following the guidelines to the T. We know that the insurance companies don't have time to actually read every single line of these chart notes. Most likely they're just looking for certain bulleted points, certain areas to support this, and then they're making their decisions. If you are putting any kind of information that could be confusing to them, if you're not making it easy for them to read, they are probably going to deny it, even if you have the support there. And then you're going to have to appeal it, and it's going to be a lot more long process, delaying your payment. I would encourage you to put a specific process into place to help your practice be successful with these audits. You should be aware of them, and then when you become aware of something like this, you put in some kind of standard operating procedure involving claims and medical records for this insurance company so that they are handled maybe a little bit differently than you would other claims that just get sent and processed without medical records. So the first thing that you need to be aware of the situation, which you are because that's why you're watching this video. The second thing is seeing exactly what they're needing. And we know that they're needing at least level 4 and 5 E&M codes, and they're going to be looking for medical records to support that level. The next thing you need to know is if whoever is coding these chart notes, which hopefully it's the providers, and whoever is scrubbing these, which is hopefully a trained and certified biller coder, that they all understand the outlines and the guidelines of how to be able to determine which level of service to be billing, okay? And for any other CPT codes that could be getting audited in addition to those E&M codes by United Healthcare. Once you think about all of that, then you need to think about your internal processes as they stand now. When claims get denied, who's working them, who gets notified, how do they identify them and then work them, how long is it taking, etc. And then you're going to need to adapt or adopt an outside workflow, either by my suggestion or maybe talking to a colleague or coming up with your own, and then put it into what's existing or maybe changing what's existing a little bit. I personally would suggest when these denials come through that there's a designated person in the office that reviews them, looks at them, and that somebody who is aware of the billing guidelines can take a look at them closer and make sure that everything is being supported as it's being charged. If you do the evaluation and management of this specific chart note, not of the patient, don't be confused, and you notice that it needs to be downcoded because it was put with the incorrect code, then there needs to be an addendum on the chart. And this is a specific workflow depending on your EMR system, how you would do this, because you don't really want to override what has already been done. You just want to make an additional amount of information to be added to what was existing to show that you did an internal audit, you noticed it wasn't correct, and you made your own changes to resubmit those claims. And you don't want to make it look like you're doing anything fraudulent by just changing the past stuff and resubmitting the same exact thing but with a different charge. So you want to make sure that you're just adding an addendum to that progress note explaining that you realized it, what was done specifically, why, and then have the provider re-sign it. And that will look a lot better than trying to go on and remove anything or add more to the past information that you already had that's not very moral, that it compromises the integrity of the chart note, and you can get in trouble for it. There are specific guidelines on how to appropriately add addendums to progress notes. There's timelines in which it needs to be done from the date of service, and you need to be looking at that as well. So if you are the person that's evaluating this and making the decision to downcode, or you have somebody specifically responsible for that, you want to make sure that everyone is well educated in the process so that you're not causing more harm to what's already being looked at. Then once everything looks good and it supports either what you are charging out or you've downcoded, you submit all of the needed medical records to support it, and you wait to see their decision. Again, United Healthcare does not send notifications through mail or email anymore. You have to go onto the portal in order to find this stuff. So it should be in your regular workflow or somebody's regular workflow to be going onto that portal and obtaining any kind of messages that are coming through, forms that are coming through, and uploading those to the appropriate patient's charts. You also need to think about how you're notifying the team that would be responsible for auditing these medical records and sending out the corrected claims if you have to correct them, and the medical records to the claims that they're requesting, because if somebody has to go into the portal, where are they putting the information for people to retrieve that they need to be worked and looked at and then submitted? That's another part of this workflow that you need to think about. It's not as cut and dry usually as just going, oh, okay, here's this and do it. I recommend having someone doing an internal audit, because if you're finding that a lot of these are being up-coded, you're going to want to go to the person who's doing the original coding and re-educate them on what the guidelines are and say, hey, you're up-coding these. We cannot be doing this. We need to make sure we're putting the correct codes. We need you to reevaluate, reread what the guidelines are so that you aren't doing this and putting us in a higher risk of having a larger audit, because that's what could happen if they're seeing a trend continuously having to downcode your own notes because they're requesting the medical records, or they're denying it because they say that you don't have supporting documentation. Then it could open up a larger audit, and you don't want to do that. Make sure you're aware of this. Like I said, this started a little while ago, and depending on the volume of United Healthcare patients that you see, you may or may not be noticing that this is a trend, but I'm just letting you know so that you can establish those workflows internally to make sure that you're not putting yourself at any higher risk of not getting paid, getting higher denials, delaying payment, and maybe even ultimately a larger audit by United Healthcare. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Speak with your manager. If you're the manager, speak to your billers and coders, whoever sees these ERAs coming through, especially from United Healthcare, pick their brain, see if they're seeing trends, go onto the UHC portal, see what you can find, and go from there. If you have any questions or comments, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And please, because this is so large of an issue and it is nationwide and it's a national payer, share this with any of your colleagues whom you feel would benefit. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.